My friend, I want to talk to you about something that could determine the course of your entire life. Don't let distractions steal your prayer time. You see, prayer is not just a routine. It is not just a habit. It is the very breath of your spirit. It is your connection to the living God. And yet, how often do we let the noise of life, the constant pull of the world, rob us of the one thing that has the power to change everything? Think about it. You set your mind to pray, but suddenly your phone rings, a message appears, a thought of unfinished work crosses your mind, or a sudden desire to do something else takes over. And before you know it, the time you promised to give to God has been swallowed up by distractions. Distractions are thieves, and the greatest thing they steal is not just your time, it is your power, your peace, and your breakthrough. Listen carefully, the enemy is not always trying to destroy you with open attacks. Sometimes he comes in the quietest way, through distraction, because if he can't stop you, he will try to occupy you. If he can't silence your voice, he will try to scatter your focus. And when your focus is scattered, your prayer life becomes weak. And when your prayer life is weak, your faith becomes fragile. And when your faith is fragile, you are left defenseless against the storms of life. But I declare to you today, you must rise up and protect your prayer time. Prayer is not optional, it is your lifeline. It is the difference between walking in defeat and walking in victory. It is the bridge between your need and God's supply. It is the place where battles are won before they ever appear in the natural. When you neglect prayer, you weaken yourself. But when you guard your prayer, when you make it sacred, untouchable, unshakable, then heaven opens over your life. You want to see miracles? Guard your prayer time. You want to see peace in your home? Guard your prayer time. You want strength to face tomorrow? Guard your prayer time. The secret to power is not in talent, not in opportunities, not in connections. It is in prayer, because prayer brings God into your situation. And when God steps in, impossibilities bow, doors open, and mountains move. Hear me now. Don't let distractions steal what only God can give you. Don't trade your precious minutes with the Almighty for meaningless moments scrolling through life's noise. Don't allow the world to dictate how much time you spend with the one who holds your destiny. Set aside a place, a time, a focus, and say, this belongs to God, and nothing will take it away from me. I promise you, when you protect your prayer life, God will protect your future. When you guard your secret place, He will reward you openly. When you refuse to let distractions steal your prayer time, you'll begin to see a power rise in you that the enemy cannot shake, the world cannot explain, and no distraction can destroy. So I ask you today, what is stealing your prayer time? Identify it, confront it, eliminate it, because your breakthrough, your miracle, your healing, your deliverance, it is waiting on the other side of your prayer. Don't let anything or anyone steal that moment. Stay in prayer, stay in focus, stay in God's presence, and you will live in His power. Prayer is the lifeline of power. Without prayer, you are like a lamp without oil, like a branch cut off from the vine, like a body gasping for breath. The secret of strength is not in the noise of activity, not in the applause of men, not in the resources you hold in your hands. It is in the unseen place where you bend your knees and call on the living God. Every man and woman who has ever carried the fire of God has carried it from the altar of prayer. There is no substitute for it, there is no replacement for it, and there is no shortcut around it. If you want power in your life, you must return to prayer. If you want to see the supernatural invade the natural, it begins when you seek Him in the secret place. Prayer is not a ritual, it is not a chore, it is the breathing of your spirit. And when you stop praying, your spirit begins to suffocate under the weight of this world. Too many people wonder why their faith feels weak, why their hearts feel empty, why their lives lack direction. And the answer is not that God has abandoned them, but that they have abandoned the place of prayer. Prayer is not for emergencies only. It is not a last resort when everything else fails. It is the first step, the highest priority, the constant rhythm of a life connected to heaven. The enemy knows this, which is why he fears the man or woman who prays. He is not shaken by empty words, by routines, by religious habits, but he trembles when he sees a believer fall on their face before God with sincerity and persistence, because he knows that prayer connects you to the source of unlimited power. And when you are connected to the source, nothing in hell can stop you. Think of your own life as a field that needs rain. Without rain, the ground becomes dry, the plants wither, and the harvest dies. Prayer is the rain that falls upon your soul. When you pray, you water the seed God has planted in you. When you pray, you refresh the soil of your heart. When you pray, you make room for growth, for fruit, for life. But when you neglect prayer, your heart becomes dry, your faith brittle, your vision blurred. A prayerless life is a powerless life, and a powerless life is a defeated life. That is why the greatest battles you face are often the battles that try to keep you from praying, because the enemy knows if he can cut off your lifeline, he can weaken your entire being. Prayer is the place where burdens are lifted. How many times have you carried worries, anxieties, and fears until you could barely stand? And then you entered your room, closed the door, fell on your knees, and poured it all out before God. In that moment, the weight lifted, the fear broke, the peace came. Prayer changes you before it changes your situation. It realigns your heart with heaven. It clears the fog of confusion. It steadies your steps. It reminds you that you are not alone, that you are not abandoned, that the God who created the universe bends his ear to hear you. What greater privilege can you ever have than to speak to the one who holds eternity in his hands? Prayer is also the place where battles are won before they are ever fought. A soldier does not wait until the war begins to sharpen his sword. He prepares in advance so that when the fight comes, he is ready. In the same way, prayer prepares you for the unseen battles of life. You don't always know what tomorrow holds, but prayer strengthens you for it. You don't always know the challenges ahead, but prayer equips you. When you spend time with God in prayer, you are putting on spiritual armor. You are clothing yourself in his strength. You are walking into the future already victorious because you have already fought on your knees. Prayerless people fall when trouble comes because they are unprepared, but prayerful people stand not because they are strong, but because they are anchored in the strength of God. Prayer is not always about asking, though asking is part of it. Prayer is about communion. It is about dwelling in his presence, listening as much as speaking, being still as much as crying out. When you pray, you are not just giving God your list of needs, you are opening your heart to his voice. You are allowing his thoughts to shape your thoughts, his will to guide your will, his love to consume your fears. In prayer, you discover intimacy with God that no distraction, no temptation, no trial can take away. There is a sweetness in the secret place that the world cannot offer, a strength that cannot be explained, a peace that cannot be shaken. And once you taste that, you will never be satisfied with a life without prayer. Prayer also builds faith. The more you pray, the more you see God answer, the more your faith grows, and the more your faith grows, the more boldly you pray. It becomes a cycle of power. People who neglect prayer often doubt because they are not seeing God at work. But those who pray continually see miracles unfold, doors open, and impossible situations turn around. Faith and prayer are inseparable. One fuels the other, and together they become the force that changes the course of your life. If you want to walk in power, you must build your life on prayer. Make it your first thought in the morning, your last thought at night, your constant companion through the day. Don't wait for a perfect moment or a special place. Pray in your car, pray in your workplace, pray in your home. Pray while you walk, pray while you weep, pray while you rejoice. Never stop the flow of conversation with God. He is closer than your breath, and every word you speak to him matters. I want to challenge you, if you truly desire change, if you truly hunger for power, if you are tired of being defeated, stop running to everything else and start running to prayer. Stop relying on human strength and start leaning on divine strength. Stop feeding your distractions and start feeding your spirit. Your lifeline is prayer, and without it, you will wither, but with it, you will thrive. With prayer, you will walk in authority. With prayer, you will see mountains move. With prayer, you will overcome the impossible. Prayer is the key that unlocks the treasury of heaven, and it is in your hands right now. Don't treat prayer as optional. Treat it as oxygen. Just as you cannot go a day without breathing, do not go a day without praying. Because when you live a life of prayer, you live a life of power. And the world desperately needs men and women who carry that power. Your family needs it, your community needs it, your future needs it. And it begins not in the spotlight, not in the crowd, but in the secret place where it is just you and God, and where the fire of heaven falls. Distractions are subtle thieves, and they work silently, quietly, creeping into the moments that belong to God and robbing you without you even realizing what has been taken. A thief does not always break into your house with loud noises and shattered glass. Sometimes he slips in through the back door unnoticed and takes the very treasures that belong to you while you are asleep. That is exactly how distractions operate. They rarely come with a warning. They don't always appear as sinful or harmful. They often disguise themselves as harmless, ordinary, even necessary. But little by little, they steal your focus, they steal your minutes, and they steal your heart away from the place of prayer until you look back and realize that you have gone days, weeks, or months without truly bending your knees before God. The danger of distractions is that they are not always obvious. If something dangerous approached you, you would resist it. If something evil confronted you, you would reject it. But distractions come as shadows, not as storms. They come as whispers, not as shouts. They come through your phone, through your endless to-do list, through conversations that never end, through entertainment that swallows hours, through worries that circle endlessly in your mind. And because they seem small, you tolerate them. Because they seem harmless, You excuse them. But in that very tolerance, you allow the thief to walk right into the sanctuary of your life and rob you of the sacred moments that belong only to God. Think of how many times you have said, "I'll pray in a little while." You meant it sincerely. You believed you would. But then a call came, a task appeared, a thought crossed your mind, and before you knew it, the day was gone and your time of prayer was stolen. Distractions do not always demand much. They only ask for a little, but that little multiplies until it consumes everything. A thief does not need to take your entire house to rob you of peace. All he needs is to take your key possessions, and you are left vulnerable. In the same way, distractions don't need to steal your whole day. They only need to steal the moments that should belong to God, and suddenly your spirit is weaker, your faith is thinner, and your fire is dimmer. The subtlety of distractions is their greatest weapon. You see, if the enemy cannot stop you outright, he will redirect you quietly. If he cannot destroy you with open attacks, he will deceive you with hidden diversions. He knows that the most dangerous believer is not the one who knows many verses or sings loudly in church, but the one who prays consistently in the secret place. That believer is untouchable. That believer carries divine authority. That believer is covered in God's armor. So what does the enemy do? He doesn't always try to confront you with direct sin because he knows you would resist. Instead, he distracts you with the little things, things that seem important but are not eternal, things that seem urgent but are not essential. He steals not only your time but your focus, and in doing so, he robs you of your power. Do not underestimate how dangerous a distracted life can be. A distracted driver can cause a fatal accident. A distracted soldier can lose a battle. A distracted student can fail an exam. And a distracted believer can lose the strength of prayer. The moment you allow your heart to be scattered, your prayers lose their depth. The moment you allow your thoughts to wander, your time with God loses its power. The moment you allow constant interruptions, your altar becomes weak. And when the altar is weak, your entire life begins to lose alignment with God. But here is the truth you must hear. Distractions are not just stealing your time, they are stealing your destiny. Every minute you lose in prayer is a minute you lose in power. Every moment you give to noise is a moment you withhold from the voice of God. Every time you allow yourself to be pulled away, you miss the divine exchange that happens only in His presence. You think you are just answering a message, just watching one more video, just finishing one more task, but what you are actually doing is trading eternal strength for temporary noise. And when the storms come, the noise will not save you. Only the strength built in prayer will carry you through. Ask yourself, how much of your life has already been stolen by distractions? How many hours have you lost to things that did not matter? How many days have slipped away without the presence of God? How many opportunities to hear His voice have passed by because you were too busy listening to everything else? Time is the one thing you cannot get back. Once it is stolen, it is gone forever. And that is why distractions are not just inconvenient, they are dangerous, because they steal what cannot be replaced. But you do not have to let the thief win. You can choose to guard your focus. You can choose to silence the noise. You can choose to set boundaries around your time with God. You can choose to say, this belongs to the Lord, and nothing will take it from me. You must treat your prayer time as sacred, as untouchable, as non-negotiable, because the enemy knows how to disguise his theft, but you can expose it by refusing to give in. When you shut the door, when you turn off the noise, when you discipline your mind, you are slamming the door in the face of the thief who has been trying to rob you. And when you do that, the presence of God fills your space, your mind clears, your heart steadies, and your spirit rises in strength. Understand this, distractions will always be present. Life will never be completely quiet. There will always be things pulling for your attention. The secret is not to wait for life to calm down. The secret is to make prayer a priority no matter what. If you wait until you are not busy, you will never pray. If you wait until everything is quiet, you will wait forever. You must decide that prayer is more important than distraction, that the eternal is greater than the temporary, that the voice of God is worth more than the noise of the world. And when you make that decision daily, consistently, stubbornly, you will find that distractions lose their power over you. And once you conquer distraction, you will discover a strength in prayer you have never known before. Your focus will deepen. Your intimacy with God will increase. Your time in His presence will no longer be shallow but rich. You will begin to hear His whispers clearly, to feel His nirna strongly, to carry His power boldly, and all because you refuse to let subtle thieves steal what belongs to your spirit. So I urge you today, open your eyes, recognize the thief. Don't excuse it, don't tolerate it, don't play with it. Take back your time, protect your focus, guard your altar, because distractions may be subtle, but they are deadly. They will steal your time, your strength, your peace, and your destiny if you allow them. But if you resist them, if you refuse them, if you shut the door on them, you will keep your lifeline strong, your spirit alive, and your enemy works through distraction. He does not always march into your life with fire and fury, announcing his presence with obvious evil. No, he is more cunning than that. He knows that if he cannot defeat you outright, he will try to weaken you quietly. If he cannot stop you with destruction, he will attempt to stop you with diversion. If he cannot make you deny your faith, he will attempt to make you delay your prayer. He is subtle, patient, and clever, working not always by force, but often by whispers. And the greatest whisper he uses is distraction, because he knows that if he can scatter your focus, he can weaken your faith. If he can steal your attention, he can drain your power. If he can keep you busy enough, tired enough, entertained enough, anxious enough, then he can keep you prayerless. And when you are prayerless, you are powerless. This is the secret weapon of the enemy. He does not always need to tempt you with obvious sin. He only needs to fill your life with enough noise that the voice of God becomes drowned out. He only needs to offer you just enough comfort, just enough entertainment, just enough business that you do not realize how far you are drifting away from the place of prayer. He will not always try to make you evil, but he will try to make you empty. He will not always try to corrupt you, but he will try to consume you with meaningless things until you have no strength left for what really matters. And so many fall not because they deliberately turned away from God, but because they slowly lost focus, little by little, until prayer became an afterthought and the altar grew cold. Think about it. How many times has your heart longed to pray, but the enemy whispered, "Not now. Do it later. You are too tired. You are too busy. You can skip today and make it up tomorrow." And so you postponed it, and tomorrow became the next day, and the next day became the next week, until you had lost the rhythm of prayer altogether. That whisper was not your own thought. It was the strategy of the enemy, because he knows that once you disconnect from your lifeline, once you step away from the altar, once you lose your discipline of prayer, he can come against you easily. He does not need to destroy a person who is already empty. He only needs to distract them until they lay down their own weapons. And let me tell you this, the enemy is not afraid of your talents. He is not afraid of your plans. He is not afraid of your intelligence. But he trembles at your prayers. He knows that one prayer prayed with faith can shake heaven and earth. He knows that 1 hour on your knees can undo 10 years of his schemes. He knows that a praying man or woman is untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable. That is why he wages war, not necessarily against your health, not always against your finances, not even always against your relationships. His greatest war is against your prayer life, because he knows that if he can cut off your prayer, he can cut off your power. Do you see how clever he is? He doesn't need to remove your desire for God. He only needs to bury it under distractions. He doesn't need to erase your faith. He only needs to weaken it by keeping you too preoccupied to strengthen it. He doesn't need to make you stop believing. He only needs to keep you so busy that you stop connecting. The devil does not fear a believer who sings about prayer, who talks about prayer, who even teaches about prayer. He only fears the believer who actually prays. And so his strategy is simple. Steal that moment, rob that focus, fill that time, and keep you from entering into the secret place. Because in the secret place you are dangerous to him. In the secret place you become clothed in divine strength. In the secret place you receive wisdom and guidance that unravels his plans. And that is exactly why he will fight you hardest at the hour of prayer. Every time you decide to pray, have you noticed how suddenly everything else seems urgent? Your phone rings, your thoughts wander, your body feels heavy, your responsibilities suddenly crowd your mind. That is not coincidence, my friend. That is strategy. That is warfare. Because the enemy knows that if he can keep you out of prayer, he has already won most of the battle. But if you press through, if you resist, if you push beyond the distractions, you will break into a place where the Spirit of God strengthens you and the enemy loses his grip. That is why the Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. The resistance begins with refusing to surrender your time with God. The enemy works through distraction also because he knows how humans are wired. He knows your weakness. He knows your patterns. He studies you not to bless you, but to trap you. He knows what will pull your attention, what will drain your focus, what will consume your mind, and he tailors his distractions specifically to you. That is why what distracts one person may not distract another. He knows your appetite and he will bait you with it, not always to destroy you instantly, but to distract you gradually until you no longer burn with the fire of prayer. And once the fire goes out, everything else begins to collapse. But here is the good news. You don't have to fall for his schemes. You can expose the thief. You can recognize his strategy and refuse it. When you understand that distraction is not just innocent noise, but a spiritual attack against your prayer life, you will treat it differently. You will not casually scroll your time away. You will not casually excuse prayerlessness. You will not casually let your mind wander endlessly. You will recognize that every distraction is an arrow, every delay is a trap, every excuse is a weapon aimed at keeping you powerless. And when you see it that way, you will rise up with determination and say, I will not be robbed, I will not be deceived, I will not be silenced, I will pray no matter what it costs me. And when you do, the power of God will flow. Because the enemy may work through distraction, but God works through prayer. The enemy may whisper lies, but God answers with truth. The enemy may try to scatter your mind, but God gathers your heart in His peace. The enemy may try to steal your focus, but God restores your vision in His presence. And the more you resist distraction, the more you strengthen your discipline, the more you press into the secret place, the more you will rise as a person of power. The enemy has no weapon that can defeat a praying believer. He has no strategy that can overcome a prayerful heart. He has no distraction strong enough to keep a determined man or woman away from God. His only hope is that you will not recognize his schemes. But today you see them clearly. Today you know that his greatest work is not always destruction, but distraction. And today you can make the choice to shut the door, silence the noise, and reclaim the sacred ground of prayer. Because when you pray, you win. When you pray, you stand. When you pray, you overcome. And no distraction, no whisper, no scheme of the enemy can stand against a heart that is set on seeking God. Yours powerful. And nothing in this world and nothing in hell will be able to stop you. Prayer demands discipline. It is not something that simply happens on its own. It does not become powerful by accident, and it does not grow strong by chance. Prayer is like the cultivation of a garden. You must till the soil, you must water it daily, you must pull out the weeds, and you must guard it from intruders. Without discipline, the garden of your prayer life becomes overrun with weeds of distraction, choked by the thorns of busyness, and left barren by the drought of neglect. Many people long for a deep life of prayer, but they wait for it to come upon them like a wave of inspiration. They say, when I feel like praying, I will pray. But that is not how prayer works. If you wait to feel like praying, you will rarely pray, because your flesh will resist, your mind will wander, and the enemy will oppose you. Discipline is what makes you push past feeling into faith, past reluctance into relationship, past distraction into devotion. Discipline is what separates a shallow prayer life from a powerful one. Anyone can whisper a prayer in a moment of desperation, but the disciplined person builds a daily altar that cannot be shaken by moods or circumstances. Discipline means you set aside time, whether or not you feel ready, whether or not you are inspired, whether or not life feels convenient. You show up because you know that prayer is not about emotion, it is about connection. And when you show up consistently, faithfully, with discipline, you discover that power is not found in occasional bursts, but in daily faithfulness. The fire on the altar is kept burning not by accident, but by constant fuel, and that fuel is your disciplined choice to pray day after day. Discipline in prayer means you create order around the most important thing in your life. You set aside a place, a time, and a focus that belongs to God alone. You do not leave it to chance. You do not give Him your leftovers. You do not try to squeeze Him into the cracks of your schedule. You give Him the first, the best, the intentional. That is what discipline looks like. It is saying, this time belongs to God, and nothing else will take it. It is the choice to silence your phone, to step away from your business, to refuse every interruption, because you recognize that prayer is sacred. The disciplined person treats prayer like oxygen. Just as you would never go without breathing, you would never go without praying. Discipline also means training your mind to stay focused. How often do you kneel down to pray, and suddenly your thoughts scatter everywhere? You think of bills, of tasks, of conversations, of worries. If you do not discipline your mind, prayer becomes an endless cycle of wandering thoughts. But when you discipline yourself, you pull your attention back again and again until your heart is centered on God. You resist the urge to quit when your mind is restless. You resist the temptation to shorten your time because of impatience. Discipline says, stay, focus, listen, persist. And when you persist, your spirit begins to rise above your flesh. Your thoughts begin to settle. Your heart begins to open. And the presence of God becomes more real than the noise around you. Prayer demands discipline because life will never give you a perfect opportunity to pray. There will always be something else to do, somewhere else to be, someone else to answer. If you wait until you are free, you will never pray. If you wait until you are not busy, you will never pray. Discipline means you don't wait for life to hand you time. You take it, you carve it out, you protect it, you guard it, because you know that without it, you cannot stand. And here is the truth. Discipline in prayer is not bondage, it is freedom. It may feel hard at first, it may feel like sacrifice, but soon you discover that discipline becomes delight, the habit becomes hunger, the routine becomes relationship, and then you cannot imagine life without it. Many people admire those who carry great spiritual power, but they do not see the discipline behind it. They see the miracles, the boldness, the faith, but they do not see the countless hours in secret prayer, the sacrifices made, the distractions resisted, the routine maintained when no one was watching. Great power comes from great discipline. A man or woman of prayer does not stumble into it by luck. They build it brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. And the same is true for you. If you want power, discipline yourself to pray. If you want wisdom, discipline yourself to pray. If you want strength to overcome temptation, discipline yourself to pray. Discipline is also what sustains you when emotions fade. Inspiration can carry you for a moment, but it cannot sustain you for a lifetime. Discipline is what keeps you steady when the fire feels dim, when the heavens feel silent, when the answers are delayed. The undisciplined person quits when prayer feels dry, but the disciplined person presses on, knowing that breakthrough is not always instant, but always certain for those who persevere. Discipline is what builds depth. Discipline is what carries you through the valleys. Discipline is what keeps your altar burning when the winds of life blow against you. Think of a soldier. He trains daily, not because every day is a battle, but because one day the battle will come. His discipline and training ensures his victory in war. Prayer is the same. You may not see the storms today, but storms will come. And your discipline in prayer today will be the strength that carries you tomorrow. Those who neglect prayer until the crisis arrives are often unprepared, but those who discipline themselves in prayer daily stand strong when the storms rise because they are already anchored in God. Discipline is also what makes prayer grow deeper. At first, prayer may feel like effort. It may feel like routine. But the more disciplined you are, the more natural it becomes. Just as an athlete trains until strength and skill become second nature, your discipline in prayer trains your spirit until intimacy with God becomes your instinct. Then, when distractions come, they cannot easily pull you away because your spirit is trained to seek God first. When temptation comes, it cannot easily sway you because your reflex is prayer. Discipline builds habits, and habits build character, and character shapes destiny. And never forget, prayer demands discipline because the enemy will fight it harder than anything else in your life. He does not care if you are busy. He does not care if you are entertained. He does not even care if you are religious. What he fears is disciplined, consistent prayer. That is why every time you try to pray, you will feel resistance. That is why every time you set aside time, distractions appear. That is why every time you attempt to deepen your prayer life, you face battles. It is not coincidence. It is warfare. And the only way to win is discipline. You resist, you persist, you stay faithful, you refuse to quit. And when you do, the devil flees and heaven responds. So understand this prayer demands discipline, but the fruit of that discipline is power, peace, wisdom, and intimacy with God. Discipline may feel costly, but the reward is priceless. It is the difference between a shallow, empty life and a life filled with divine power. It is the difference between falling in battle and standing in victory. It is the difference between drifting through life and walking with purpose. Discipline is the bridge between your desire and your destiny. And if you build that bridge with daily prayer, nothing will be able to shake you. Your breakthrough is hidden in your prayer time. There are doors you have been waiting to see open, and they will not open by chance. There are chains you have been hoping will fall, and they will not fall by accident. There are blessings you have been longing for, healing you have been asking for, answers you have been desperate for, and they are not waiting somewhere far away. They are waiting in the secret place where you pray. The reason so many people live beneath what God has promised is not because He has not heard, not because He has not answered, but because they have not pressed into prayer long enough to receive what He has already released. Heaven is full of blessings that belong to you, but prayer is the key that unlocks them. The miracle you are longing for is not out of reach. It is within reach. But you will find it when you find God in the place of prayer. Breakthroughs rarely come to those who only pray casually. Breakthroughs rarely come to those who pray only when they feel like it. Breakthroughs come to those who labor in prayer, who push past their flesh, who resist distraction, who persist when answers seem delayed, who refuse to quit even when it feels like nothing is happening. The truth is, often when you pray, it feels quiet, it feels slow, it feels like nothing is shifting. But what you do not see is that in the unseen realm, walls are cracking, chains are loosening, angels are moving, and God is aligning circumstances in your favor. The enemy wants you to stop because he knows that if you keep praying, the very thing you have been waiting for will manifest. Your breakthrough is not denied. It is delayed by your persistence, hidden in your prayer time, waiting for you to push through. Prayers where battles are won before you see them won in the natural. Think of how many victories were birthed out of nights of prayer. How many healings came after tears were poured out before God. How many closed doors opened after someone cried out in desperation? The secret is not in the noise of men, but in the whispers of heaven. And you can only hear those whispers when you are bowed in prayer. If you want to see transformation, if you want to see strongholds break, if you want to see healing flood your body, if you want to see provision flow into your life, then understand that these things are birthed in prayer. Your breakthrough is not in the hand of man, it is in the hand of God, and God's hand moves when His people pray. So many people stop just before their breakthrough arrives. They pray once, twice, maybe for a few days, but when nothing seems to happen, they give up, and what they did not realize is that their answer was just beyond the point where they quit. The devil knows this, and that is why he fights you hardest in your prayer life, because he knows the power of persistence. He knows that if you pray long enough, faithfully enough, consistently enough, something will break in the heavens, and what was delayed will be delivered. He fears your persistence because he knows persistence always leads to breakthrough. That is why Jesus taught about the persistent widow who refused to stop asking, and because she kept asking, she received what she sought. That is why he said, ask and keep on asking, knock and keep on knocking, seek and keep on seeking, because the answer is not denied, it is hidden, waiting for you to keep pushing until it comes forth. Your prayer time is not wasted time. Every moment you spend in prayer is an investment into your future, into your destiny, into your breakthrough. You may not see the harvest instantly, but the seeds are being planted, the soil is being watered, and the fruit will come in its season. Too many people sow in prayer but never stay long enough to reap because they quit too soon. They walk away when the ground looks dry, not realizing that under the surface, roots are spreading and growth is happening. Do not make that mistake. Stay in prayer, stay pressing, stay seeking, because your breakthrough is in the very place where you are tempted to quit. There are blessings that only prayer can unlock. There are answers that only come through prayer. There are breakthroughs that cannot be explained by human reason, only by divine intervention, and they are reserved for those who are willing to seek Him diligently. The Scripture says He is a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him, not casually, not occasionally, but diligently. Your diligence in prayer is the key to unlocking rewards that you cannot buy, that you cannot earn, that you cannot achieve through human effort. They come only from God, and God gives them to those who make prayer their lifeline. Think of your own struggles, the areas where you have cried out for change. Some of you are waiting for deliverance from addiction. Some are waiting for restoration in relationships. Some are waiting for healing in your body. Some are waiting for financial provision. Some are waiting for clarity of direction. I tell you, your breakthrough is not far, but it is hidden in your time with God. If you stop now, you will miss it. If you let distraction steal it, you will delay it. But if you hold on, if you push through, if you make your prayer time your priority, you will see the hand of God move in ways that will leave you in awe. Breakthrough prayer is not always convenient. It may demand sacrifice. It may demand waking up early or staying up late. It may demand fasting. It may demand tears. It may demand persistence when you are weary. But every sacrifice you make in prayer is worth it, because what you receive from God far outweighs what you gave. There is no wasted prayer, no wasted tear, no wasted moment in His presence. The moment you kneel down, heaven begins to move. The moment you call on His name, answers begin to form. And though you may not see it instantly, though you may not feel it immediately, though you may wonder if anything is changing, know this: your breakthrough is hidden in your prayer time, and if you keep seeking, you will find it. Breakthrough is not about your strength. It is about God's strength. It is not about your wisdom. It is about His wisdom. It is not about your plan. It is about His plan. And when you align yourself with Him in prayer, His strength becomes your strength. His wisdom becomes your wisdom. His plan becomes your plan. That is when breakthroughs happen, not when you force it, not when you strive in your own ability, but when you surrender in prayer and let God fight for you. The walls of Jericho did not fall because of human strength. They fell because of obedience and persistence in seeking God. Daniel did not survive the lion's den because of his position, but because of his prayer life. Elijah did not see fire fall from heaven because of talent, but because he prayed. Every great breakthrough in Scripture is connected to prayer, and the same is true today. So do not despise your prayer time. Do not belittle it. Do not treat it as optional. Treat it as sacred, because hidden in those moments are answers to questions you have been asking for years. Hidden in those moments are solutions to problems you cannot solve. Hidden in those moments are doors that will open for you and your family. Hidden in those moments is healing for your body, peace for your mind, and strength for your soul. Hidden in those moments is the breakthrough that will change everything. And I tell you again, do not quit. Do not give up just before the answer arrives. Do not let discouragement steal what persistence would bring. Push-throw prayer protects you from the traps of distraction and keeps your spirit alive. There is a battle raging for your attention every single day, and the enemy knows that if he can steal your focus, he can steal your strength. If he can take your eyes off of God, he can pull you into the emptiness of this world. Distractions are not always evil in appearance. Many times they look good, they sound good, they feel good, but they are designed to pull you just far enough away from your purpose, just far enough away from your calling, just far enough away from your prayer life that you begin to live on spiritual fumes. But prayer is the place where your soul is guarded, where your heart is anchored, where your mind is renewed, and where your spirit is kept alive and on fire for God. Without prayer, even the strongest person becomes weak. Without prayer, even the wisest person becomes confused. Without prayer, even the most passionate person loses their fire. You cannot survive spiritually without prayer any more than you can live physically without air. Prayer is the breath of your soul. It is the oxygen of your spirit. It is what keeps you alive on the inside when everything around you is trying to kill your hope, drain your joy, and rob you of peace. Every day, life throws distractions at you. People, problems, pressures, temptations, and all of them are aimed at one thing: to steal your prayer time. Because the enemy knows if he can keep you from praying, he can keep you powerless. But if you keep praying, if you make prayer your priority, you become untouchable, unshakable, unstoppable, because prayer places you under the covering of God. So many people underestimate the danger of distractions. They think it is harmless to miss prayer for one day, to push it off for 1 week, to say, I'll get back to it when I have more time. But that is exactly how the enemy works. He does not try to cut you off in one violent move. He tries to disconnect you slowly, little by little, until you wake up one day and realize your fire is gone. That is why you must treat your prayer life as sacred, untouchable, non-negotiable. The moment you compromise it, you open the door for distractions to creep in. And distractions are traps, traps to rob you of faith, traps to drain your energy, traps to fill your life with noise until you cannot hear the whisper of God. But prayer closes every door the enemy tries to use. Prayer sets a hedge of protection around your mind. Prayer builds a shield of faith around your spirit. Prayer keeps you alive in the midst of a dying world. When you pray, you strengthen your spirit. And when your spirit is strong, distractions lose their power. You begin to see clearly what others cannot see. You begin to discern lies that others fall for. You begin to walk in confidence when others stumble in confusion. Distraction tries to make you anxious, but prayer brings peace. Distraction tries to make you chase after the temporary, but prayer sets your eyes on the eternal. Distraction tries to overwhelm you with business, but prayer restores your rest in God. It is in prayer that you are reminded who you are and whose you are, and that reminder is what keeps your spirit alive. Look at the world today. Everywhere, people are drained, anxious, fearful, restless, chasing after things that never satisfy. Why? Because they are distracted. They are consumed by everything but the presence of God. They have time for news, time for entertainment, time for gossip, time for endless scrolling, but they do not have time for prayer. And because of that, their spirits are weak, their faith is shallow, and their lives are easily shaken. But those who pray are different. Those who pray walk with a strength that cannot be explained. Those who pray carry a fire that cannot be extinguished. Those who pray have a peace that makes no sense to the world. And that difference is not because they are stronger in themselves, but because prayer protects them, guards them, shields them, and keeps them alive on the inside. Prayer is not just communication with God, it is transformation by God. Every time you pray, God renews your spirit. Every time you pray, God revives your soul. Every time you pray, God fills you with strength for the battles ahead. And when distractions come, and they will, you will not be swept away because your roots go deep in Him. When storms blow, you will not fall because prayer has anchored you in His presence. When temptations rise, you will not collapse because prayer has built a wall of fire around your soul. Distractions may come in many forms, but prayer gives you the power to rise above every one of them. And let me tell you, it is not always easy to pray. Your flesh will fight you. Your schedule will fight you. Your thoughts will fight you. Everything around you will scream that you do not have time, that you do not have energy, that you can do it later. But you must fight back because your life depends on it. Every time you choose prayer over distraction, you win a victory. Every time you silence the noise and bow before God, you defeat the enemy's strategy. Every time you push aside the business of life and seek His face, you are declaring, my spirit will live and nothing will steal my fire. Prayer is warfare, and every moment spent in it is a victory won. Do not let distractions steal your destiny. Do not let them steal your peace. Do not let them steal your fire. Guard your prayer life as though it were your most valuable treasure, because it is. Hidden in those moments is your strength, your guidance, your protection, your life. And when you stay faithful in prayer, you will walk through life with clarity while others stumble, with power while others are weak, with joy while others are broken, with life while others are spiritually dead. Prayer keeps your spirit alive, and a living spirit cannot be bound, cannot be crushed, cannot be defeated. The world may press against you, distractions may surround you, trials may test you, but if your spirit is alive, you will overcome, because greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. And the only way to keep that fire burning, the only way to keep your spirit strong, is to live in prayer. That is why you cannot afford to let one distraction steal it, not one temptation delay it, not one excuse rob it. Protect your prayer life with everything you have, because your future depends on it, your family depends on it, your destiny depends on it, and your spirit depends on it. So I declare to you today, do not let distractions win. Do not let them silence your prayer. Do not let them pull you away from the very thing that keeps you alive. Run to the place of prayer. Guard it. Treasure it. Live in it. Because in that place, you will find the strength to endure, the wisdom to navigate, the peace to stand, and the fire to keep going. And when the world looks at you and wonders how you are still standing, how you are still strong, how you are still full of life, you will know the answer. It is because prayer protected you, and prayer kept your spirit alive. Stay faithful, stay consistent, because your breakthrough is not far away. It is already waiting for you in the secret place of prayer.